Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome y'all to another podcast of the Grown Section, and I am your host, Flint09. And y'all know me, I keep it mixed up. I talk about it all. I ain't scared to talk about it, And we gonna jump straight into it. We know the formula of water. We know the formula of air. You know what I'm saying? But we also know the formula of how a child is made. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it so crazy to talk to somebody about sex? Why is it so crazy to be an adult and talk about it as if like it's some sacred thing? It's not sacred. You look at somebody every day when you go to work and you know exactly how they got to this planet. You know exactly how they entered this world. And, that's what another thing that we need to sit down and be grown-ups about, Be able to talk to your partner about it. Be able to figure out things, that may be inside of you that you might be scared to talk about, but it might be something y'all just need to sit down and talk about as adults. Like I say, don't act your age and not your shoe size. You know what I'm saying? We're not wrong for wanting to actually have conversations about it. It's not something that is sacred. Like I said before, it's just not sacred. It's something that we all know about as adults. It's something that we all do as adults. It's something that, should be on the front balance of a lot of things, especially in relationships. When you've been with somebody for, a good little minute, a period of time, whether it's just a relationship or a marriage, because there's people out here that's been in full, fledged marriages that really that's a boundary they don't cross, and they've been together for however long, and they can't even sit back and talk to each other like, hey, this is, something, an area we need to just talk about, just casually, and I just think it's pretty, cool, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta listen to me. You ain't gotta listen to me. That's what I be saying this all the time. Like, you don't have to listen to me. But I just want to show people how you don't have to be afraid to talk about it. We know exactly, everything it is to, make a child. But yet you can't sit down and talk to your significant other. You can't sit down and talk to your partner, and be like, hey, look, this is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? And it's just something we got to get past, because as far as us being adults, and y'all hear me say this a lot in all my videos about being adult, we shouldn't have to put ourselves in a corner or be afraid to talk to somebody or our partners or anything like that as adults, about it, It should be at the front forward of anything if it's going to make a situation better or make a situation worse, But that's just me. That's not here nor there. That ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a bad thing to sit back and dispute. I'm not trying to. I can't even think of the word right now. Y'all know me. I'm always forgetting something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always mixing up my words and stuff like that. But it should be something that grown-ups have, especially if you're in a relationship or a marriage. You definitely should be having a conversation about it, whether it's at the beginning, the middle, or the end, just to make sure everything on terms. Well, y'all know me, though. I'm going to be mixing it up. I'm going to be a little bit all over the place, kind of like last week's episode when, I was just kind of trying to jam everything together, and then it's not done like that strategically. It's just one of them things where I, see a bunch of stuff or hear a bunch of stuff, and I kind of, like I said, I just want to get it all out, But I really think as adults, it's not sacred. It's not something that the next person doesn't know about. It's not something that, needs to be hidden, because the more we try to hide it and jam pack it down, the more it keeps rearing its ugly head. That's one of the things, like I said last week on my other show, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something we need to put in the back. It's something that we need to stand tall and say, hey, you know what? Everybody does it. At least if you're over the age of 27, because that's what I'm talking to. Everybody 27 and up. I ain't talking to nobody down there below, because I'm not saying that they can't understand what I'm saying. I just think that people who ain't almost 30 really haven't been through a lot of stuff that adults have been through, and I'm an old man, so I've been through a lot, seen a lot, know what's going on out here you know, with a lot of other things as well, you know. But, you know, I'm just one of them people that just don't feel like it's not something that can't be talked about. As if you say that word, then all of a sudden everybody got to pause. Everybody got to stop. Wait a minute, you just said the sacred word, you know. You can't say that. That's crossing a boundary. How? You know, how are you crossing a boundary by talking about something when you looking at a person and you know exactly how they got here? You know exactly what your mama and daddy did to put you on this earth. And yet, now we living in today's times where we can't even talk about it. We can't even bring it up, you know? And I'm not saying that for everybody. You know, I'm not saying that for people who actually are out here being able to talk about it without it being an issue. I'm just saying, you know, from a different point of view, that there is people out here who try to treat it like it's so sacred, like it's just, you know, we don't say that word. Shh, can't say that word around here because, you know, you'll wake up the demons or something like that. Bear with me. I'm just trying to be funny at the same time, you know. Like I said, we know the formula to water. We know the formula to air. You know what I'm saying? And we also know the formula to how kids are made, how people are made, how humans are made, how people and human beings and all of this stuff, how we get to this earth. But yet we can't sit around and talk about it because it's almost like one of them things where people try to make it seem like you crossing some line or some boundary. Man, stop. Grow up. At your age and not your shoe size. And y'all gonna hear me say that a lot, you know, because that's what it is out here. People rather act their shoe size than act their age. And it's like, stop doing that. You know, be able to talk without having to worry about somebody needing a safe space. Be able to talk without somebody feeling like if they disagree with you, it's a bad thing. If you want to disagree with me, that's fine. I mean, like I said, get down there in that comment section and holler at me. I'm going to reply to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to just say what's on my mind, just like you going to say what's on your mind. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with two people having a disagreement about something. But I'm just tired of people acting like it's so sacred. Like it's just, you know, we can't talk about it because if you got kids or something, you in this secret society. Man, come on, man. When people see you with children, they know exactly what the fuck you, they know exactly what you did to make that child, you know? If you can't sit around and have just a casual conversation about it, laugh about it, joke about it, play about it, you know, you missing the fun parts of being an adult, you know? And I just think that's like I've been saying in my previous episodes, you know, that's just the best thing about being an adult. We couldn't wait till we was grown to be able to say the things we want to say, do the things we want to do. And now we get to a point in our lives where everybody's shook, you know, especially adults. Everybody's shook. Don't want to say this, don't want to do that because, you know, you don't know who needs a safe space and who doesn't. You know, you want to throw out little things, you know, just to test the waters and, oh, okay, you're good. I can finish saying what I'm saying without offending you. Nah, everybody need to grow up. Stop with this offensive stuff. Like I said in my last episode, the sensitivity is too low. We need to bring it back up, man. Be a grown adult, man, and just be able to say something either for understanding, you know, knowledge or whatever the case may be. You don't have to sit here and make it seem like talking about, you know, how kids are made because it might offend somebody. You know, we got to get back to us being grown adults, you know. You know, that's just where we at in this world as far as, you know, like I was saying, you know, they make, you know, commercials sexy. You know, they'll make a car commercial sexy. They'll make a food commercial sexy. You know, they'll throw just that little hint out there, you know, in a commercial or a movie to portray it. You know what I'm saying? But as full-fledged grown adults, we can't talk about it. We can't laugh about it. We can't joke about it. We can't have a little fun about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one thing that we wanted to be adults for. We wanted to be able to be grown and say the things we want to say and talk how we want to talk and do what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, to not be on that level as adults these days, I think that's something we need to get back to. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you ain't gotta listen to me. You ain't gotta listen to me. You ain't gotta. You can disagree. You can do all of that if you want to. Like I said, jump in them comments. We can talk. If you leave a comment, I'ma reply. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? It's not to be and a debate about it. You know what I'm saying? Because what is there to debate? We already know the formula to making kids. So why is it so hard to talk about as grown adults? Why is that the one thing that we want to sit around and act like, oh, it's just so sacred that we can't do it? You know? It just doesn't make no sense as grown adults. We got to be able to get out here and function like grown adults. You know, we got to be able to talk like grown adults. We got to be able to say what's on our mind as grown adults, you know? Stop shelving yourself and shrinking yourself, especially if you around people that you don't feel like you could be yourself with, you know? And that's just one of them things where when you get around certain people, you can't speak on, you know? Because everybody is all in that, oh no, you crossing, nah, I ain't crossing no line. We all grown adults in here, right? So if I bring the topic up and I'm asking some questions or I'm talking to somebody and you feel like you offended over there, then stay over there. Don't worry about what we talking about over here. You know what I'm saying? Or if you feel like you adult enough or grown enough and you want to join in the conversation, it should be able to be done. Because we adults, we grown. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so much flip-floppiness out here, you know? Like, Diddy going to prison for doing adult things. You know? Like, everybody within them things was grown. You know? Y'all want to sit here and probably toss up this, that, and the third, well, whatever. I bet you they was over the age of 18. I bet you they was. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's the whole thing about it. Like, it's just getting so terrible out here when it comes to this word that people are shrinking themselves now. Excuse me. That are shrinking themselves. And y'all know me, I'm going to look at my notes. I don't mean to take my eyes off the camera. I'm looking at my notes, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of going off. Like I said, y'all know I'm going to be all over the place. So, like I say, just bear with me. Because I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be talking. But I'm going to try to stay on topic as best as I can. But, you know, I'm human. You know, I'm going to stray a little bit. But it ain't that deep to, you know, not worry about. But, you know, it's just one of them things where, you know, as adults, you know, we should be able to just have casual conversations about it without people feeling like they don't know what it is, like they don't know what's going on. Like, what you mean you want to talk about this right here, right now? Like, what the then come on, be able to talk about it anywhere, be able to have some fun with it, be able to joke about it, be able to laugh about it, be able to just be yourself about it without having to worry about offending somebody or somebody getting mad. Like, we should, like I keep saying, we should be able to talk about anything we want to as an adult, you know? We should be able to function as grown adults in this world without having to worry about somebody getting so mad about something. You know, if you still want to play like a little kid, then go play over there, you know? That's why this is the grown section. So we can sit down and have actual conversations about grown up stuff without, you know, worrying about it, because I don't want nobody to come into my comment section or be a guest on my show and feel like they have to shrink or not be able to say something, you know. Say what's on your mind. We grown adults. You didn't make it to the age you at right now because you was being, you know, soft or subtle all the time. You took some bumps and some bruises. You went into areas and stuff like that where you knew you wasn't supposed to be. But like I said, then to talk about this word or just to even bring it up, oh my goodness, look at, oh my goodness, you can't do that, you can't bring up, nah, get out of here, you know. And I just think as adults, you know, and you see, I keep saying, I just think as adults. Like I said, I'm fresh to this. I'm new to this. I ain't trying to act like I'm the best at it, but I'm not scared, and I'm not going to act like I'm not an adult. But we got to be able to get back to us being grown adults, you know, stop all of this petty little kid stuff all the time, you know. Like I said in my last episode, we couldn't wait to be adults, to be able to do the stuff we want to do and say the stuff we want to say. And that's just where I'm at with it, you know? Just grow up, you know? It don't make no sense for people to not be able to share grown adult stuff with another grown adult without that grown adult being offended or another grown adult being offended. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of them things where it shouldn't be in the back. It should be up front. You know, of course, yeah, keep the conversations and stuff away from kids. You know, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, just be, you know, vulgar. I'm just sitting here saying, man, look, it's people that's been in relationships for years, married and all of that stuff, that don't have an actual conversation about it, to just be able to talk about it, you know? And it's people out here that want to say stuff but don't know how to say it because they don't want to offend somebody. And I gotta stop thinking like that. We all gotta stop thinking like that. We all gotta be adults. We all gotta stop I was about to cuss, so I had to think of something because I don't want to get in no trouble. But we all gotta stop thinking that, you know, we can't say what we want to say, you know. And like I said, you know, it ain't about being vulgar. It's just about being able to say, hey, look, we grown adults. We're going to have this conversation about it, you know? And it shouldn't be something that leads to an argument, you know? You don't see me sitting here on my videos, on my recordings or anything telling you how to be a person or anything like that. It's just me saying be an adult, you know? And that's just where it's at with a lot of people, you know. As men, of course, yeah, we gonna sit around and have, you know, funny conversations and joke and play about it. But then the first thing, soon as one of our wives or our girlfriends walk up, we gotta calm it down. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. When that's a whole grown adult standing there too, you know. And out of respect, it's just one of them things. We'll say, honey, look, we over here talking about some, you know, we talking about this, you know. I don't know if you want to be a part of this conversation. And sometimes they walk away, but sometimes you'll get those grown women that'll say, hey, you know what, I'm grown too. You know, what we talking about? What's the story about? You know, and be able to get in on it. But, you know, we gotta understand that it's not something that's sacred. It's not something it's like we in a hush society. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm about to switch the vibe just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, you know me, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Switching the vibe just a little bit. I know I already said that. I keep checking my notes because I'm on the wrong notes, I see. Yep, I was on the yep, sorry y'all, my bad. I was looking at that just a little bit too long, and I was on the wrong notes, you know. It's crazy, you know. But, you know, like I was saying, man, they, you know, brands out here, you know, commercials out here, even TV shows hint at it. We can all sit back like, oh, we know what's going to happen next, and laugh about it. You know what I'm saying? But then in the conversation of realness, we can't talk about it. And I just don't think that as grown adults we should be like that. I think we should more put it up front. Shit, who is it gonna hurt? You know, who is it gonna bother? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all know about it as adults, you know. We all can kind of get a clue on what's really going on, you know. I don't think anybody should have to put it in the back. I think it should be a good topic conversation, you know, just to gain a little bit of knowledge about stuff, just to gain a little bit of understanding about it, you know what I'm saying? But that's just me. So, you know, I'm just here to just get everybody to understand that we are grown adults and we didn't work this hard to get to the age we at to just be shelved or shrink down because of what we think or what we feel, you know. If you can't handle it as a grown adult, then go to the kiddie pool. You know what I'm saying? You know there's two different pools in the pool area. There's one for adults and there's one for kids. Then go over there with the kids. Because over here in this pool, we talk like adults. We act like adults. We think like adults. We talk, you know what I'm saying? We do everything like adults. And some people just ain't gonna never understand that because it's just one of them things that's never supposed to be spoken of. Nah, hell nah. We ain't going through none of that over here. Like I said before, this is not a safe space and it never will be. This ain't about trying to, you know, make people feel at ease. This is about that realness, that rawness that's coming directly at you, and sometimes it comes faster, and some people just don't know what to do. Stand in it, stand up, stand on your 10. You know what I'm saying? Being a grown adult. There ain't nothing wrong with it. Some of us out here working 60, 70 doggone hours a week and then can't go home and talk about, how kids are born. Get out of here, man. Let's get over it already. I mean, it's been out here forever. Like I said, that's how you was born. That's how I was born. You look at your parents every dang day and, ew, I can't believe you shut up. Shut up, because one day you gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Or if you already doing it, stop acting like it's such a bad thing. Like it's just this bad thing that that people out here doing it. Everybody knows everybody's doing it, especially if you grown and you really grown. You know what I'm saying? And I just applaud the people that can actually stand on 10 toes and actually talk about it without it, becoming an issue or a problem. Like I said, stand on your 10 and focus on being an adult. Sorry, that people out this thing just playing like they just don't know what it is. Everybody know you go to work, you get in your car, as soon as you walk outside, you see another human being and you know exactly how they got here. You know how they got here. I don't even know why we sitting around fronting like somebody flew in on a spaceship and the aliens brought us all here. They didn't bring us here. We know exactly how you got here. And we just got to grow up, man. We got to grow up. We got to get out of this solution of where we can't talk about nothing because it offends somebody. Like I said, if you want to go play with the kids, then go play with the kids. Go be the only adult over there swimming in the kiddie pool. So everybody can look at you crazy from the back, like, for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't even sit on the edge with the adults. You literally couldn't, just chill and just listen to the topic, just listen to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that's super funny. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's just crazy how we grown adults and we can't manage to talk about anything almost anymore. Like, to a point where everybody gotta be in they feels about it, or feels about something. Like, come on, man. We didn't reach this age to sit around and shrink for people. When you, especially in the presence of other grown people, and you possibly want to ask some questions, you possibly want to know something, and you have to be afraid or shrink yourself to not ask or talk about it because it's gonna offend somebody else. Like, nah, hell nah, man. Get it off your mind, man. Like I said, quit putting it in the back, bring it to the front. I ain't saying it should be the topic of every conversation. I'm not saying it's supposed to be the table piece, the center of the table with everybody to look at. No, I'm just saying it. If you got things on your mind, don't be scared to talk about it. There's some people out here that's pretty much fluent in it, and they can definitely help you out, And that's just where I'm at with it. Just conversating, you know what I'm saying? Just basically saying there's nothing to be scared of. I ain't saying there's nothing to be scared of in the world. We know crazy crap happen every day, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, if you living in a peaceful time and you just might have some questions about it, or you might just want to talk about it, you know what I'm saying? You should be an adult. Just be an adult. Say what's on your mind. I just think that's just crazy how, as adults, we put so much adult stuff on the back burner. I mean, so much adult stuff. You can talk about it with your friends. You can talk about it with, certain people. But if you having a conversation with somebody and you feel like you shouldn't have to feel like that. You should feel like, hey, man, let me ask you a question. All right, hey, man, this is funny right here. Let me show you this, Because, like I said, it's everywhere. It's not something that we should hide, It should be something that we can just conversate about, we could talk about, we could bring up without somebody having to worry about, if what you doing and what you saying is wrong. It's like, are you an adult or aren't you? What you mean? I can't have a conversation with you about this? Like, it's just hilarious to me. And I be rolling. Y'all know I be rolling. I be screaming on it. Like, get out of here. Like, come on, man. You know, we'll watch that whole movie knowing exactly. They didn't show the whole thing, but you know exactly what they did. And you could look at somebody and be like, man, you know what they was doing in that scene, right? You know what it was portraying. And then that person look at me, no, I don't know, and I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. Like, nah, man, grow up. You knew what was going on. I think it's just funny, man. You know, we do a lot of screaming and talking about being, you know, adults, and people be out this thing like, oh no, you know, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't bring that up. You know, that's not something you're supposed to do in this area or in this time of day. Man, if you don't get out my face, get out my face, dude. I'm gonna talk when I want to talk. I'm gonna say what I need to say. I'm gonna get it off my chest. If you can't handle it, then just say that. Then look, man. I get what you're saying, man. But you know, I ain't for the conversation about it. It's like, okay, whatever. But I think that people should be able to talk about it without it being any consequences. You know? Oh my goodness, he was over there talking to such and such, and that's what they was talking about. Girls, stay away from that conversation. They over there talking about it. You don't want to be, man, talk about it. Talk about it. It ain't sacred. It's not something that's supposed to be hidden because of the simple fact that we all know how we got here. We all know how we got here. We all know how we got here. Yeah, I said it 3 times. Yeah. Wasn't no confusement behind that. You know what I'm saying? Sorry about that. Ooh, I had that itch. I had to scratch it. Sorry, I got my fan on while I'm down here and it be blowing my little nose hairs, and that's why you see me doing this all the time. Just bear with me though. Just bear with me though. I'm still here. I'm hanging on. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta grow up as human beings, as grown adults. You know, we gotta be able to have conversations, you know, without people feeling like, you know, it's just too much. You know what I'm saying? You didn't work this hard to get to your age to all of a sudden be soft. You know, I don't care who you is. I don't care what environment you come from, what world you come from, what world you living in right now. You didn't work this hard to become an adult to all of a sudden be soft. You didn't work this hard to become an adult to all of a sudden play like a little kid. You didn't work this hard to become an adult to sit back and have to wonder if this person needs a safe space, this person needs a safe space. Like, how are we grown adults and we even need a safe space? You know, we done been through too much in our lifetimes. Nobody worked this hard to become an adult at whatever age you are to all of a sudden now need a safe space, man. Go sit on your couch and close your door. There go your safe space right there. Because the world is not a safe space. And this podcast will not be a safe space. My comment section will not be a safe space. You know, I'm just putting it out there before anybody jump underneath my video and want to keep saying, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't do this. And nah. Go tell your kids what to do. Don't try to tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I've heard questions. I've seen people, you know, I've even had people myself come up to me and talk about it, and like, you know, I couldn't talk to such and such about it, but man, thank you. You know, you was easy to talk to about it, or you know, I didn't feel like I could bring it up to my partner. You know what I'm saying? But getting it off my chest to you, you know, I feel, you know, I could be an adult with you. I can talk to you about how kids are made, or you know, not even just about how kids are made, but I'm trying to be, you know, a little soft about it because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. You know, I really want this to be something, so I'm not going to be vulgar, you know. But it's not even about me being soft. I'm not shrinking myself. It's just I don't want to be kicked off my page before it even grows. So I'm just talking in a way that people can understand, in a way that adults can understand, because everything out here is just soft nowadays. You know what I'm saying? You can't say certain words. You can't do certain things. And it's like, we get it. But at the same time, I mean, some of this stuff, yeah, true enough. It shouldn't be talked about. It should, you know, in a public sense, you know. But as far as just talking about, you know, sex, I don't feel like people should throw it in the back. I feel like, hey, if you got something on your mind, get it off. You know, talk about it. Be an adult about it, you know. But hey, thank you for tuning in. If you watched this video to the end, I definitely appreciate it. Like and subscribe, you know, to the grown section. You know, jump in that comment section and tell me anything that's on your mind, you know. Tell me what, you know, anything you want to talk about. You know, I don't have no, like I said, if I see it, I'm going to reply. Or I'm going to at least give it a like. I ain't going to act like I didn't see it. But this your boy, Flint09, and I'm out. Peace.